Good morning, everyone. Hello, and thank you so much for joining us on our Mindful Yoga webinar today. I'm so excited to be chatting on this. And, you know, look, whether you're an experienced yogi or maybe you're just getting started, this is going to be a fabulous live Q&A session for you with our guru, Sacha Norsworthy here. So what we'll be doing at the end is also finishing up with a little live mini demo of a few key postures that you can be able to practice anywhere, because it's all about being able to practice in our safest, most stable, most satisfying yoga possible. So have your mats ready or just some soft ground or carpet will do. It's going to be nothing too full on at all. But if you haven't joined me on one of my webinars before, I am Carla Thomas. I'm a holistic health coach. I'm an IQS expert with Sarah Wilson's 8-week I Quit Sugar online program. I'm an author and also the founder of the Juicy Movement. So please, if you do have any questions, just pop them in the chat section. We will try and get to them at the end. And also, if you do come on live anytime during this, I think I've got anyone on mute anyway, please keep yourself on there just to avoid any background noise. But with that, let me introduce our guest of honor today, Sash.
Hey.
So Sasha's mindful and dynamic vinyasa practice basically challenges both the body and the mind. She really encourages us to reach past our perceived limitations to achieve our best practice. Okay, so her training in yoga therapy also assists hands-on, and she's been teaching as a qualified yoga teacher since 2007. So that's what, 11 years you're coming into now.
Yeah,
Wow. Wow. So Sash teaches group classes in several different kinds of yoga practices. And, you know, this and her insights, this is her method of life coaching, which is what I love about her. So she's huge on honouring the perennial philosophy whilst allowing adaptation for our contemporary lifestyle pressures. Wow, what an intro. Welcome, Sash. Oh, thank you. So let's pop this person on mute to make sure. Great. We're all there.
Thanks for having me. This is the first time I've done this, guys, so I'm a little bit like rabbit in the headlights, where I'm like,
no, I was just saying,
good.
it's all casual, it's all easygoing, and it's what it's all about, helping us just to relax, and I suppose that's where yoga comes in perfectly. So just before we kick off, I do have to share a little secret, Sash. When I first started yoga practice with you, and she started taking over more, so I practice at Power Living and my base studios in Myrie. I hated your classes.
Really?
Yeah. Sash is like one of the strongest people I think I've met. Don't be underestimated by her petite size. She, like, her inner strength and how she can practice, I swear. Like, I remember with people in Sunday classes, and half of us would be dying like flies, going, oh my God. And I would in my head be going, hate this, too hard. And I was doing all of this intention in my mind. I remember it was a few weeks. And then I let it go. I remember I had just one class and I realised you're doing exactly what I talked about before. You're pushing me past my perceived limitations. And what happened was I began to feel, you know, over time with you, and I say this really honestly, a strength in my yoga practice that in all the years I don't think I'd found, because you had been encouragingly and lovingly, without, you know, hurtfully pushing me to get past what I thought I could do.
Awesome.
And so now, you know, for that I have benefited. So I have to thank you. But yeah, for a long time I'd walk out like, that lady, too hard. But no, and that's why I asked Sash to come on today, because you really have become one of my favourite and my most regular yoga teachers, and a lot of it does have to do as well with your philosophy, and you know, you give such beautiful insights throughout the class as well, all the time, getting us to grow and think outside the square, and just all the philosophies that, you know, you share with us are amazing. So
great.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
Yeah. So anyway, I got that little secret out of the
first experience.
I know, but terrible for that. But anyway, Sash, so I know in a previous life as well, you were a dancer, and that's something I think I relate to. You every now and again give us glimpses of that, but I'm yet to hear the full story. You know, I'm eager to see, is that what led you down, you know, the yogi road? And, you know, just tell us a bit about, how did you get into this journey into the yoga space?
Absolutely. So I think the first thing, guys, that I wanted to share was that the first couple of times I came to yoga, I felt like, this is too slow. It's too boring. I don't actually have time for this. I was studying at Cambridge and very kind of busy in my earlier life with achieving stuff. And that being the goal of life is to achieve stuff. And yeah, I think you get to that point where you're either physically injured or life just isn't rolling and working and feeling how you expected it to, and looking for other ways to enhance your life or support yourself. And that's, I think, what yoga became for me, was like a personal support network. And it wasn't so much just the practice, it was the community as well. And I tended to gravitate towards teachers that really affected me on a spiritual level. And I just came out feeling better. And in the UK, yes, with the dancing, yes, with full-time study, etc., I just needed that release valve, and that's what it became to start with. And then when I moved to Australia, I found power living in Sydney and really resonated with that kind of transformational practice. So rather than it being about kind of flowery stretching and la-di-da, it was really, I came out of there having bawled my eyes out or sweated my guts out, or there was a paradigm shift each class, and I was like, God, I want to facilitate that for others.
Yeah.
And that's really been the journey. So I chose to go and do my a post-grad qualification in yoga teaching because I wanted something at that stage. I wasn't planning to stay in Australia permanently, and I wanted something I could transfer back to the UK or wherever else I went to go and live next. And that was, being a uni qualification, it was transferable, practice registered and stuff. But since then, it's just kind of taken on its own course, and I don't know, I think we're called to do different things, and I really feel like I have that bull terrier kind of commitment to helping people experience life beyond what we call the chitta, which is just the kind of limiting beliefs of the ego.
Yeah. And I mean, I can see that in your classes too. I mean, you can tell, and you teach a lot of classes per week, but the energy that you give, you really want people to walk out of there with that. You said that transformation from when you walked in the door and walked out. And I think a lot of people, when they start yoga, assume it's more for the body. They don't necessarily realize how much it's going to affect them on a mind level. And I can say for me, it was a huge part, and still is, of being able to maintain and stay on top of a history with anxiety and depression.
There you go.
And a lot of people do get into things like meditation and yoga for that. So yes, it absolutely gives me a great workout. I love how, it affects my body, but the reason I need to practice this more than anything is for my mental well-being.
There you go.
And you're right, it does evoke a lot out of us. I think it was a couple of weeks ago I came into a lunch class, and I don't know what was going on, and I posted about it, and by the end of class it was like I was just thinking, because it was middle of the day, and I said to you, I don't know how my mind's going to stop. But in the last 5 minutes, I just found myself through Savasana doing gratitude, and I started to cry, and I was like, what's going on here? Because you're right. You have no choice but to be confronted with your emotions or what's going on and deal with them and get past. And I really love how yoga, and especially with your teaching, it can help you deal with that. So
it is traditionally a form of therapy, like yoga, but I think it's important to note here that yoga is not just the asana postures, as you were saying. It's a whole practice. It's a whole lifestyle practice. So breathing, self-study, meditation. Yes, it's really hard to do all that stuff if we're uncomfortable in our physical bodies. So that's where the asana comes in. And yes, diamond bodies come out of that because your body increases in its functions and its capabilities. But really, I think the work of yoga is to become aware of what we've inherited, what we are in terms of how the mind operates, and then to transcend that. Now, you'll get people that want to shoot for samadhi, bliss, whether eventually people, I think, loosen their grip on the asana and they start to move more into the pranayama and then the meditation. And for me, like the asana, that's great and it feels good, but the meditation is where my passion lies, I think.
Yeah.
So that's my daily practice without compromise. It's kind of like, that's my home base now.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a very challenging environment. I haven't had an easy start to life. So like yourself, I've struggled, and there have been lots of things to transcend. And it's almost like all of that stuff is just there, but the yoga is the bit that weeds the garden.
Yeah.
And I have to keep plugging up the weeds in order to live free.
I love that.
And because I've had that journey, because now I live empowered, just free, happy. I don't have the house, I don't have the fancy car, I don't have the husband, the kids, the jewelry, the whatever else, that could make me happy.
All society deems is what's going to make us happy.
Yeah, and look, and that's great because it's fun, right? Like, it's fun. And I don't think it's about robbing ourselves of those joys. It's just about, for me, it was about, okay, I want that self-love, that inner home base that I can come out from and start to make decisions that are really self-in.
Yeah.
And in turn, then feed back into society. And that's the bit I'm passionate about, because every time somebody steps out of their own, you pull the whole society forward.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine everyone in Perth having a regular yoga practice, and rather than just feeling good in their warrior two, actually doing the work.
Yeah.
Transcending their limiting core beliefs. I must be, and being spiritually, empowered people.
Yeah.
Think how this would run.
Oh, I mean, it's such a ripple effect. And, I often say with friends who either practice yoga or any form of exercise or whatever, like, how do people function? Like, I think about, when we hold on to all of this and we don't have a way of, like you said, being able to release or grow from something, or because you can do practices sometimes and maybe the whole time through the practice you've got something running through your head, but by the end of it, through the practice you've worked past it and you've worked out of it because you've given yourself the time to do that. So it's such an amazing, when you really do embrace it, as you said, all aspects, because like you, I think I started yoga very much for the whole, the physical aspect too. And then I started to notice this, but then I started to go deeper and really utilize the two. And because I remember at the end of class too, when they'd get to meditation, I'd opt and I'd roll out. I'd be like, I'm done. I don't want to, relax and do this. Whereas now, you're right. Like, that is the part where it actually brings the whole practice together. Like, it's the most crucial component.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
For you.
But you learn over time, right?
You learn over time. And look, and I think initially yoga draws people that suffer with anxiety or depression, or have just been through a divorce, or there's been something where their whole kind of, their structure, their system of living life has been shaked, or it's not quite working, or there's something missing. So they're like, hang on, they intuitively, they might not admit it to themselves or other people, but they need help.
Yeah.
However, so some people are like, and to be honest, if I had grown up and I was fully confident and happy, I probably wouldn't be in the yoga.
Yeah.
But the reason I feel it's for everybody is because it's like, we're human beings by nature. Nobody is born into the perfect family. Nobody grows up with supersonic self-esteem and great self-worth and I love life and everything's great. Everybody needs help because we're human.
Yeah.
We're not robots.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, why would you rob yourself of that support structure?
Yeah.
And this is not, the latest craze of, I'm going to, drink green juices for the next week. This predates the Christian era, Christ, Egyptology. This is like the first form of therapy or help or awareness that was committed to paper.
Yeah.
That's why I call it the perennial philosophy. And I've studied theology, and that's kind of what led me to it as well. Growing up as a Christian, my dad dragged us to church and always been, curious about all that other stuff. But I was like, well, why don't I go to the source, to the one that first happened, see what they've got to say. And if you look down, this will probably trigger some people, but if you look down at all the other religions and philosophies, life coaching philosophies, they all stem from somewhere in the yogic text, you'll find it.
Yeah.
You'll find the original wisdom. So I'm just going to stick with the Mac Daddy and work from there.
And would you say too, from when you started, because I know finding this as a holistic, coach, 10 years ago when I was sort of starting to look into this, it was a very, you know, you were labelled a bit of a hippie, and you know, it was very out there, and nothing was easily available. It wasn't embraced as, you know, easily. Whereas now, and especially where we are in Australia and Perth as well, it's very much a part of the culture and the lifestyle in general. I mean, you would see how much the classes have grown over the years, and people who from all walks of life, you know, you've got your males, your females, your corporates, you know, your mums, your young generation, are all embracing benefits. And I think you really nailed it when you said yoga is not just a practice, it's a form of therapy.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think you reminded me that, because when I go back to London to visit my family, there's nothing of what we've got here in Perth. I'm like, why is this? And I think Perth, Australia, being a newer settlement, when you go back to Europe, you know, steeps years of religion.
Yeah.
So that's the baseline. That's the kind of structured system. Here, not so much. There's a lot more open-mindedness and a lot more kind of cross-cultural fertilization. Can't remember where I was going with that, but I think people are more open to other belief systems that support them. Yeah. Where was I going with that? There was an important thing that you were talking
lifestyle
about.
factors with, you know, therapy and stuff. But it is very true. Like, you know, there are certain places, and California can be like that too, and New York to percent. There are cities that are, it is part of that lifestyle and health and well-being, and it's got the feel around it, you know, the sun, it's sort of easygoing place. Because you're right, when you go back to Europe too, and my husband and I always say we struggle, like even the lack of gyms in hotels or trying to find a yoga studio everywhere, it's just, you know, you don't go walking down the streets of Paris and find a billion people running in the morning, but all around Perth, there's parks, there's water, everyone's out and about.
It is great.
And we're so lucky.
I just thought of it there, Carla, with the hippie thing.
Yeah.
You know, like how you get, sorry if this is triggering anybody, but religious extremists.
Yeah.
So they'll judge the religion based on how those people behave.
Yeah.
If you actually go to the text, there's a lot of value in that text, and it's not useful to judge the philosophy based on how its participants behave. Same deal with yoga. So it's not useful to judge yoga as a practice, as a philosophy, based on the people that do it.
Yeah.
Because we're all human. And if it's anything I know about the human condition is we will sidestep growth.
Yeah.
The ego is so cunning and so tricking, and that's why it's a practice. It's a daily practice of self-observation. It's not, there's no goal, there's nowhere to get to. And that's what put me off yoga as well. I'm like, I don't want to be one of those hippie, smelly dreadlock. Not that, I mean, that was totally my judgment.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
prejudge.
British.
That's what it must look like and be. Yeah, only those people do yoga, not people like me.
But the original philosophy, it's like the highest form of life coaching you'll find. It's absolutely about going to, and it's the hardest. It's like there's no easy way for anybody. We've all got that capability to be radically self-honest and step into our power. But you have to be so uncomfortable and willing to go to the complete unfamiliar. And that's cool. Like if you want to just come and get a diamond body, by all means do that. But what excites me about yoga, and I think it's why I continue to respect it, is it always gives me something. I've always got somewhere to go.
Yeah.
It's not anything that I'll ever master, ever.
Yeah. And I think I love that point, because it's something that I'm always trying to teach with clients as well, and that you're on a journey, and I know it's such a cliche word or whatever you want to call it, but you never get there. You know, I think so often we're like, when I do this and when I get that place, then I'll be there, and that's it. You don't get there, and that's actually the exciting part of it. You're just forever learning and growing and getting better at something, and that's the exciting part about it. And same with your practice, you watch over the years to where you were in terms of, yes, the physical aspect, but also maybe mentally.
Totally. And
then you see how far you've come and what you've been able to let go of. And it's the same with, you know, other aspects of your health and nutrition and all the other things in relationships. You know, it's all about just embracing the highs and the lows, and what do you learn from both of them. And in practice, sometimes you go, ooh, I wasn't quite, you know, in that flow today. Why was that? Or what was I needing to learn about myself? Maybe it was it's okay to ease back. Let go of the ego. It was okay to ease back. And then other days just flying and everything's happening, you know?
Definitely.
And it's wonderful. And I think that's what keeps me definitely almost addicted to that feeling.
It's a practice. I think you can be addicted, yes, to the endorphins, and it's a nice feeling in your body, but it's a practice. It's like being addicted to eating your 3 meals a day or drinking water. It's actually something the soul craves and needs.
Yes.
And so, I don't know, it's just part of looking after a human. And that there is nowhere to go because we are human, because, you know, we're constantly changing, constantly growing, constantly dying, constantly rejuvenating.
Yeah.
It has to be it's like gardening. You can't just do it and then it's done, and the garden's going to stay that manicured forever.
Yes, absolutely. It's as you were saying, you know, it's a constant work in progress. And when you do have it missing from your life, I was saying, Sash, on Sunday, you know, last week I couldn't come in for yoga with the Wisdom's Hour, and you notice, I mean, the little things I normally am able to do for myself and that I couldn't.
Yeah.
You start to already see how it plays a part on your mindset and also on your body too, and how everything functions, and just that sense of release when I got back in on Sunday. And that's why I really wanted to do today, guys, because I really wanted to give a deeper understanding into the benefits of yoga and why it's something I believe that, you know, no matter what style it is, and yoga can be so simple. We'll show some poses that you can even just get in for yourself at home.
Yeah.
But how that plays a part is the piece of the puzzle in finding that sense of vitality to unleash your potential for health and your best being.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, just to end, because I think it's a really important point, that sort of going into your own limited mind for solutions for yourself is not optimum. So I think whatever you're doing, whether it's practicing meditation, the breathing, the pranayama, the practice, the asana, you need a teacher. It's that external perspective, that objective view on you that's really important. So I just encourage, rather than, and that's a danger with just doing the YouTube or online stuff, where you haven't got that human to human connection. The meaning of the word yoga is to huge. So essentially we practice to connect.
Yes.
And the mind is the opposite. So the ego will disconnect. The anxiety will pull you up here. The depression will feel like I'm alone. No one's feeling this. No one is experiencing what I do. I just, and in that state, shame then comes up, and we don't want to connect with other people. It's just easier to isolate, or whatever the issue is, you know, and it can manifest in so many ways. It can be like a skin rash, or confusion about our sexuality, or, you know, I'm a nurse for a living and I'm a guy and I'm ashamed. And like the head will make up so many stories.
Yeah.
And what yoga does for me is just get me back into what is actually important, this amazing gift of life. Like, I'm the little sperm that made it to the egg. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it is. When you take it down to the basics, you know.
We're alive, we are healthy. Even if you've got one leg and one arm, that is amazing that you're here and you get to share your voice. And that's what yoga does, is strips away all of that unnecessary, so that this little soul inside, my authentic self, can be heard, be seen, and enjoy this gift.
Yeah, I love that. It's so true. Oh, I think it's actually been one of my favourite webinars I've done. I really mean that. So I absolutely agree. So we talked about, you know, doing, you know, getting out there. And look, it is about the connection, guys. And also it's an energy in the room, because, you know, you feed off each other when you're in there. And there's nothing more powerful than, for instance, when you've got this strong om coming through at the end of class and all of that. But we do have a lot of people who, you know, their mums or their corporates or hours who they can't necessarily get to a class, in which case, you know, I'm a big believer in starting your day empowering your mind. So personally for me, that might be rolling out the mat, I say this all the time, and just doing 20 minutes of stretching, rolling yoga at home, just to get me going. And then I think sometimes at night too, you know, like when we've had those really high pressure days, my biggest encouragement is also to never finish your day on a bad note. So if there were 3 poses, for example, if someone couldn't get out, that you would recommend someone could either do in the morning or do at night, just to center and connect in their home. I'd love you to show us what, you know, they would be, or what your favorite top 3 poses are that anyone could do. Maybe they're traveling and they've come off jet lag and they're stressed and they just want to do something in a hotel room. Like, what would you say?
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
Look, I'll preface this by saying I think it is important to work with a teacher, because you might have particular presenting complaints in your body and contraindications for these postures. But if I
let's move the yoga mat here behind. Is that all right there?
Yeah.
We'll move these chairs out of the way. Improv this morning, guys. Perfect. All right.
So I'm just going to steal your chair.
Yeah.
Go in a hotel room, grab a chair, or if you're at home, use a wall. The first one I'd probably say, yogis are a great believer in inverting the body. So that just basically means that your heart is above your head. So although they're on the same horizontal plane, I just go for legs up the wall. So if you had to do one posture at night, just to counteract the effects of gravity, relaxing through the feet, allowing the blood to drain. So if your legs are up the wall, you can keep it like this. You can take the legs wide, soles of the feet together. Also really good if you've been traveling and your hip flexors are quite tight. This can just help to loosen through the legs. So that's legs up the wall. Cat-cow is used now in Pilates and so many other disciplines, exercise fits, etc. OT work, so we're just on all fours. If you've got any issues where pressure on the knee bone patella is not such a great thing, then just pop a pad underneath or a towel. And then just extending and flexing through the spine. So flexion is where we squeeze that anterior chain shorter. And then extension is where we squeeze the posterior chain shorter. In this one, you're going to focus on pulling the shoulder blades down the back. So it's not up like this. You're going to pull it down, belly button down, opening through the backs of the hips. And there are all sorts of variations here. Excuse me. Disco cat rolling. Just basically rotating at the joints is a really good idea. You've got all of your traditional ones down, replacing your what I might do next week is post a little flow, just to get the blood moving around the body. Suriname start A, really easy, that kind of stuff. If I had to choose a third posture just to do at home, I'd probably focus on what we call Pavanmuktasana, which is wind removing pose. So this is where you take little circles at every joint in your body. Starting with the wrists, then we'll work with the elbows. And that's what we're looking for in a functional body. You get that full range of movement at every joint. And if it's restricted, especially in the hips can be for people, then that's information for you. So there's no right or wrong way to do this. How am I going to rotate at the hip? Okay, I can come this way. The knee isn't meant to kind of turn. This you can just flex and extend. The same at the ankle joint. And just work your way through the body. And that's something you can do whilst you're watching telly or Netflix. Or motion is lotion. So in any way that you're moving your body. But I've got a couple of clients that walk a lot, for example, so they tend to be really tight in the hips because they don't counteract that more kind of yang movement with some sort of restorative practice. And just pop some music on, even if you have a water feature at home or the radio, if you like to listen to that, you can do it on the phone whilst chatting to your mum.
That's awesome.
Is that enough?
That is, and I love exactly what you said, especially wind removing pose and cat cow. I was talking to my favourites in the morning.
Yeah.
And that's why I say when you do that first thing and you get your body moving, you know, how it wakes up your mind and body and soul is just, that's such a good way to start your day. And even on a plane, guys, don't be afraid. I've done this stuff in the middle of the aisles before when I needed to. So, Sash, that was so amazing. Thank you.
Honestly, for
joining us live this morning.
Hope to meet some of you.
Yes, absolutely. And that was going to be my next thing to share with you. So for any of the viewers who are in Perth and may like to try Sacha's classes, where can we find you?
Absolutely. So I work for Powerliving. You can powerliving.com.au. We have a Maori studio and a North Perth studio in Perth. I'm currently just at South on Tuesdays and Sundays at the moment. And then I also work for O2 Active, which is also based in Perth, predominantly in Claremont. Again, go to that site, o2active.com. Come along to a class, guys. Welcome to try your first one for free. They're all different types. So Powerliving tends to be a heated room. O2 Active isn't. See what you fancy. Come along, start the journey.
Absolutely. And you can find Sash on Instagram as well. If you head along back into my feed and you would have seen my post about this morning's webinar, I would have tagged Sash on there, so you can go along and follow her as well. So thank you so much to everyone who did join us live. I know we've got loads of people who are looking forward to being able to watch the recording, which will be shared on all my social media and online platforms in the next 24 hours or so. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. But otherwise, thank you. Big love to you all. Thanks,
See you next time.
So juicy, guys. See ya.